Come on. Welcome to another episode here of Xconversations.
Yep.
Today we got a special guest, but before we get into that, let me just quickly introduce myself. If you don't know, my name is Mr. Gasconi, aka Gazza, aka Miss. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna put you on to my brother right here, the big dog himself.
Well, blessed love. This is Mikey Blacks, the elder in the group.
The Godfather.
Quiet.
Triple OG.
Me not say much. But the big man say me fire some question tonight. So I go kick off, yeah?
Alright.
Blessed.
Alright. And I'm your boy.
And then we have
Your boy, Zachariah Khalil.
Alright.
AKA.
AK4.
Acquire knowledge, bro. What was you gonna say? That's acquire knowledge. Yeah.
No, come on, my brother,
I
man.
heard 4.
Yeah, but obviously
No,
I was
that's
letting you explain to the people where AK comes from, you get me?
Acquire knowledge. You know
Come
what I'm
on.
saying? And I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, man. I like the one though.
Oh, come on, man.
What was I gonna say?
That's the poet name. You get me? That's a
Yeah,
pseudonym. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
cold still.
But to my right, we have a very special guest here today.
Okay.
An inspirational story, inspirational speaker.
Cold.
You're gonna learn loads more about him through this interview and post-interview because I'm sure you're gonna look him up. So without further ado, we have the man that is David O'Mahony.
I'm
you,
gonna
James.
give that man a
Yeah,
round
man.
of
Thank you.
applause, man.
don't know.
How you
Oh,
doing?
Good.
Layers up.
Good.
Thank
yeah?
you for having me.
No, you're welcome. Now, thank you for coming on the show. Really
Absolute
appreciate
pleasure.
it. If you guys remember, I don't know if you lot remember, but on social media, I think it was about 3 weeks ago.
About
3, 4
yeah,
weeks
for
ago.
real.
David actually took a trip to come and watch one of our recordings. So, you know, he's come back now as a guest. So we're really happy to have you on.
No, definitely.
So yeah, we'll kick it off by just give us a little background into like where you grew up, what kind of area, what was it like, and what were the experiences for you early on?
So I guess it's probably fair to say that I didn't really grow up. I guess I think by the age of sort of 16, I'd lived in Brent my whole life,
Yeah.
but council had moved us. I think we lived in 5 different homes. Sometimes bounced between bed and breakfast,
Okay.
between temporary housing.
So, David, just to ask you, was there a reason why you were moving homes or just
I think it's the council housing back then was.
okay?
It wasn't permanent like that.
No,
innit?
it was lots of temporary housing.
Yeah.
So you'd stay somewhere and then you'd move on after a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I guess I was unlucky in the sense that being the middle child, because I got 3 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay.
Every time we moved, I had to move to a new school. I was just
Okay.
unlucky. So my sisters, my 2 elder sisters, got to go to 1 high school, 1 primary school.
Okay.
My brother, who had sort of mental health problems and other difficulties, was sort of sent to a private school.
Okay.
And so I was just bouncing around. And I didn't really notice it in my childhood, but then when I moved to secondary school, like, it was super uncomfortable. Like, going to one secondary school where you know no one in
Yeah.
year 7.
Yeah, that's normal.
Like, yeah, it's
That's
normal,
awesome,
but
yeah.
you adjust, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
for
yeah.
me, it was like, I go to secondary schools in Kingsbury,
Yeah.
Neasden,
Okay.
Stonebridge,
Yeah.
like all over the
you're
place.
going about,
And
you're
so-
going about.
It's almost like every time I moved to a new school, I had to adjust, try and settle, make some friends. Never lasted very long because I'd be off in a new school having to do it all over again. And so when I left at 16, my father was never at home. He was abusive to my mum. And so she tried her best, you know, to raise 5 kids with 2 hands. She was always at work.
So what age was it when your dad was kind of like not in the picture anymore?
I think probably I must have been 4 or 5. Like, he was, I think, beaten up, like, not only my mum, but other members of the family, and then disappeared. And he'd come back every now and then. I'd see him.
Yeah.
But it was almost like, it become normalised to me.
yeah.
It was like, I didn't know.
You didn't know anything other than that?
No, but and especially because I wasn't able to build friendships because
Yeah.
I was never in one place long enough. I didn't know that a dad was something that should be there all the time.
Yeah.
And I guess being young, I'd sort of just, it become normalised to me. Moving schools become normalised to me. And I guess the gift in that curse was that it built a level of resilience in me to be able to mould myself
yeah.
differently
No, definitely.
every time I'd moved. And so I wasn't a bad kid in school, but I was completely disengaged. Like I had to become a grey man.
Is that because like you had the feeling that I'm probably gonna move anyway, so what am I like? Why am I gonna settle down in school for? Was it one of those ones? Or?
I think maybe subconsciously it might have been that, but I think consciously, I was just like, I think we take for granted school in the sense of the part it plays in our development, in like our communication skills, our ability to build and maintain friendships, but also what is a friendship? What's a good friendship? What's a bad friendship?
Teaches you those social skills that are essential for adult life.
Yeah, and so at 16 when I left school, I had none of that. Like I was. And because I didn't have a dad, my mum, God bless her, like she grafted.
Big up the single mums.
That honestly,
single mums, no, big up your mum. Big up all the single mothers, because they try hard. Yeah, they go through struggle and they still do a good job.
Yeah, they do
a great job. So big up all the single mothers out there.
Yeah,
like she kept us all clean, fed. Yeah, the beds were always changed. The house was always clean. But I guess she couldn't fill the role that a male should, and so I never really understood the importance of school, and sort of just went because I had to go, and because I lacked that self-belief in who I was and the confidence, I just sat at the back of classes quiet.
So sitting at the back of classes, is that where basically, obviously, growing up, we're relatively the same age, I think.
37, I am.
Okay, so the same generation. Yo, you look younger than me, brother. Bro, I'm 30.
I'm thinking, fighting of youth, blood.
Yo, you're doing well. Alright, cool. So similar. I say similar-ish because I think that era that we went to school is like different to now. But but like in that time, sitting at the back means you're getting in trouble. Like you're not really paying attention. Yeah. You're probably dashing things at someone ahead of you, or you got your headphones in on your whatever, your Walkman or your phone. So like, was that the space in where you would be like in trouble or just not paying attention? Or?
It's not even. I was never in trouble for being sort of a disruptive kid. I guess I was always quiet because you go into a new environment and your personal skills haven't developed. The easiest thing to do is to just
go into a shell.
And just it was a defense mechanism, I guess. And because I think because I was always moving, I was always put into that, and I never had a chance to to be intelligent, even though I was, and I could have been a straight A student, but for whatever reason, I guess I was always in the lower sets.
But do you think that was because when you was moving around schools and everything else, where you never actually had a chance to do certain how can I put it, certain tests or certain exams that kind of give you a kind of base level?
I think so. I never remembered doing any exams other than my GCSEs. So I think that there were a lot of misbehaved people around me, and because I was moving school, it was often I ended up in. So for people that are from Brent. St Gregory's, John Kelly, Wembley High. Okay. Like the schools where like Wembley High, the school I finished at was sort of. That's a bad kid school, isn't it? It was then. They called it Achievement for All, but what it actually was the school that would take anyone.
That's at Tunmarsh. Yeah. That's like the last stop, basically. Yeah. You've gone to another school and they've kicked you out as well. So this is where you're going now, and you're just with all the bad kids in the borough.
So did you go to Copeland?
No.
Did you go to Gladstone?
Yeah.
Okay. You said any more? Those are the other schools that were missing off the list.
Slaysbrook, all around that, from Bridge, go Wembley.
I started in. So I grew up in St Raph's.
Wilton High. Yeah.
That's the end of the stop.
Yeah, that's the end of the stop.
Gladstone Park was originally, but they closed that down early.
Yeah.
So then it's Wilton High. After Gladstone Park.
And then it's Wilton. Is that the last stop?
Yeah, Wilton High.
Get kicked out of Wilton High, you're done out.
Okay, I hear that.
So because I started in, for people that know Brent, you'll know it, Blacks, and Simeon. I started off in St Raph's. I was born there, grew up there. Yeah. Went to two schools around there. Yeah. And then we were put in a hostel in Kilburn. And then a hostel in Queen's Park.
Wow, yeah, you're doing that.
And then moved to Kingsbury.
That's the whole tour.
And then from Kingsbury, we moved to North Wembley.
And with each of these moves, or with a couple moves, you're moving schools.
I'm moving schools, yeah. And then obviously leaving just any friends I'd I'd sort of gained behind. And then from North Wembley, we then moved literally to, Blacks and Simeon, Conduit Way, which is across the road from St. Ras. Yeah. And so it was
wow, so you come back.
Yeah, pretty much full circle. Yeah. And so by the time I left school, I was like, having seen my mum struggle and work constantly, I was like, I need to go and get a job because money is going to change everything for me.
Yeah.
And
I relate to that.
After I left school, I started to build a friend group in North Wembley. And I was at work. I think I started off in a warehouse job. But what happened was, like school, after about a year in a job, I then think, I need to up my salary. So I start looking for another job thinking, I didn't care what it was. It just needed to pay more than the last. Yeah. And so in that sense, it was good, but I was still pretty grey as an individual. And I didn't really know who I was. And the new friend group I had, what I'd noticed I started to do was mould myself on the people around me. Okay. So I might talk like one person, but dress like another.
I hear that. No, I hear that.
And so I'd just written a book, and it's funny that in the book I say that...
well, add that to the list, author too. Don't leave me hanging though. Man's an author. Author. Cool. Man.
And in it...
You know what I'm saying?
In it I speak about I was this hybrid human. And it was no surprise. People didn't really like me. And when I look back now, it's no surprise because...
Do you get it?
I wasn't myself.
Okay. So you see, so now you've left school, you're going into work, and now you've made a new friendship group. At what moment did you think, did it hit you, or did you start discovering yourself and be like, I don't know who I am, or when did those questions start to get asked?
It wasn't until, bearing in mind I'm about 17 now, it wasn't until at the age of 24, and between that period, those were probably the funnest times of my childhood because we'd do things like, hang out on street corners all night with no phones. You didn't have phones back then. It's like we used to just occupy ourselves and just have banter and fun. And it's then days, soon after that I then met Simeon. Shout out Simeon.
Big up Simeon.
Come on, man.
And Simeon, our relationship, Simeon was unlike, you wouldn't have put me and Simeon together, but but we gelled in a way that, I don't know, it was mad. I didn't know it at the time, but I was able to be an authentic version of myself that for some reason I couldn't be around other people.
That's true friendship though.
And I never got that. And so I started spending less time with that friend group and more time with Simeon. And those times were real,
that's when you're coming into your own as a man.
16, 17?
Yeah, 16, 17. You got me my first job.
And that was we built each other up and encouraged each other to be better. And
that's a good friendship there, man. That's a true
Where was this? In North Wembley?
North Wembley, yeah.
Wow.
But I was living in Stonebridge.
Oh, you live in Bridge and Town.
But coming in, because when I lived in North Wembley, I built that friend group there. It was actually through the cadets.
Okay.
Which I'd encourage all young people, if you've got a cadet unit near you, get involved with that, because
one of my cousins was in cadets.
There's one in Newham, no?
There's one West Ham Park, bro. Yeah, I can't remember what they called though. But yeah, so my cousin went to it, and it changed him. It made him disciplined.
He's structured, isn't it?
Structured, and he got wham as well. He got proper hench. I was like, where are you getting these muscles? I'm in the cadets. Used to see him with a backpack on, the fatigues and that. You know what I'm saying? Doing his little run. It's good structure.
Like for me, it was the first place. I guess I had a male role model in my life, the cadet leader, who sort of took a shine to me and actually helped me see that I'm good at some things. Like if I can apply myself. Like even though I'd always worked, and I just considered that because I saw my mum do it. That's normal. It's just something you do. And then, so Simeon and I's friendship started to grow, and life was good. It was crazy them times. Like, it really was. Like, Avrex.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
That was good.
It was crazy.
Yeah, but we get it still.
No, but obviously, let me just break this one down. You see, when you hit it was crazy still, that means there was some things that was good, yeah.
Good times, man.
Things
Good
are
times.
Like,
Yeah, trust me.
we'd be all around the country. Avrex jackets.
Yeah, hey, rich jackets.
Come on.
Iceberg history,
Iceberg,
Moschino
come on,
clothing.
Moschino.
Yeah.
But academics, man.
Anyway, yeah.
But then it
that's,
sort of all
crazy.
fell apart. I remember I was in Brighton one night with my girlfriend at the time, and Simeon phoned me and said, D, where are you? I need to go and someone owes me some money. Will you come down with me to pick it up? Like, no drama. The guy had the money. Will you come with me? Because I was driving.
Yeah.
And I said, bro, I'm in Brighton. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And then Simeon got caught up and ended up, if you don't mind me saying, Simeon,
Do your thing.
serving a 15-year sentence. And so, like, and that was on a joint enterprise charge that he shouldn't have even got wrapped up in. And so I went from having someone where I could be my authentic self around, and we weren't always the best behaved, but we weren't
You weren't tyrants.
troubling no one. We were just doing our own thing. And so then things really started to change for me, because by now the group in North Wembley was starting to use cocaine and ecstasy.
Okay.
And I remember feeling so sort of lost, because we'd be sat somewhere on a Sunday morning and they'd be all there gurning and coming down off of pills. And so I then gravitated back to people in Stonebridge. And I started DJing at that time, and that sort of give me sort of something to invest my time in. But again, because I'd lost Simeon, I'd lost, I guess, the ability to be authentic.
I hear that.
I started to mold myself
Other people that was around you.
off of people who, as you guys know, like,
You bounce off people, innit?
Yeah.
So obviously, like, you know, you got people in friendship groups that, for example, like me and Gasconi, we were like 2 out of like 15 men, but there's us 2. Do you get what I'm saying? And then you have another 3 men that are always together, but we're still part of the same collective. And then, but you'll notice that these 2, like us 2, would speak the same or would buy the same kind of trainers. Or, do you know what I mean? And the other 3 would, and the rest of them that had their little cliques within the group. Was that kind of the same for you? Like, you was closer to maybe one person in that group than the rest of them, or you had 2 people in that group? And
not even that. I was lost, sort of bouncing between the 2, and I guess because I didn't know who I was, I'd look at people and say, well, automatically sort of like gravitate to the people who seem to have confidence. Or you know, used to dress like me. And so I felt uncomfortable, but it's almost like I couldn't break away from it because there was nowhere to go. And then my mum moved up to Luton, and so I was left in the house with my brother. We were somehow holding it all together.
How old was you at this point when your mum moved to Luton?
I must have been
20-something.
yeah, about 19, 20.
Okay. So you're still relatively a young man, and now you've got the house with just you and your brother.
Yeah, and so I had a relatively decent job. I decided to move to go and rent somewhere in Harrow, just to sort of get away from it. Because
That's smart though.
But it was like, I didn't see it as that at the time. It was almost like it was built into me to run, to move again, find somewhere new, and that'll make everything okay.
I hear that.
And I remember when I moved into the flat, and shout out to my girlfriend Gemma, who's still here 15 years later.
Wow. So you've been 15 years?
Well, we've known each other 15 years, but she was there. I mean, she brought me this rocking chair in the flat, and I remember her and my sister left, and I remember I sat in the rocking chair, and I thought to myself, I'm more unhappy than I've ever been. I thought this would make me happy, but I feel more unsafe and insecure than I've ever felt.
Wow.
And then various things happened. I met a girl, moved in with her. That didn't work out. Moved to my sister's. And I always found that I was gravitating back to the people that I knew, because
that's all you knew.
that's all I had. And I didn't know how to build friendships with people I worked with, or so hanging around the people that I grew up with, and some of them were good people, but
everyone was doing what they were doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then I remember I was driving down Wembley High Road while I was at work one day, and I remember I saw the Army Careers Office. Sick. And I still to this day, I don't know why, but I 3-point turned in the middle of Wembley High Road, drove in behind the Careers Office, walked in and went, I want to join the Army.
Just on the spur of the moment, you saw
literally.
It and thought, 3-point and I'm gone in there.
Do you reckon there was something to do with that when you was doing with cadets, or how you enjoyed it so much?
I think
that might have been...
because I wanted to join the Army at 16, and I remember I'd done all the paperwork, but I was maybe too scared to take that step, and maybe too comfortable. I was in my comfort zone, even though it was uncomfortable. Like the easiest thing to do is to stay where you know, even if what's going on is bad. And I remember the bloke said to me, okay, well, you need to, here's these leaflets, go and think about what you want to do. And I was like, no, I need to go now.
Wow.
Right? Like, how quickly can I join the Army? Sick. And then I think within sort of 3 months, I was gone.
Okay.
And that was literally, because at the time I felt I was struggling. I was doing a good job at work, but by this point I'd been made a supervisor, I'd been given a company car. Okay. And I was still getting caught up in madness on weekends, or like Monday morning would come and my work phone would go and I'd be sticking my head out the window.
Like, I'm on my way.
Acting like I'm on site. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to lose everything.
Northwest was a mad borough. Like Northwest, growing up was mad. That was, I think it had the highest gun crime in the UK, I think, at one point.
It was firing over there, man.
Crazy drug-related incidents, drug-related users, all of that. It was crazy them times.
It was them time. It's because you have Charkill, then it's start divide, bridge, Mozart. Yeah. So it kind of start divided, but ours and itself, out at Northwest, was kind of like the gun kind of.
The guns were like, it was normal.
Yeah.
And so then the Army, I guess for me, was escape. I always felt that I could be more, but I didn't know how to be that, or... And I guess I was lucky in the sense that the escape of the Army provided me that opportunity to be more.
And is that where you kind of discovered yourself in the sense of like, now I'm becoming a man, I'm actually becoming a man, I'm learning about who I am, what I'm comfortable doing, how I'm comfortable to express myself and carry myself? Is that the place where that began in the Army?
Like the Army definitely helped me grow and sort of gave me the skills and helped develop the skills that should have developed in school. But then it was rough because I was so introverted. Like everyone, you can ask all my friends from the Army now, they'll say that when they first met me, they couldn't stand me.
No way.
Not because I was loudmouthed or because I was rude, but just because I was the face of a mannequin. And I walked around with a swag that is completely normal in the way we grew up. And that didn't fit in the Army. Also the way I spoke. Like I would be dead, like the comments like, who do you think you are, and why are you dressing like an American rapper, and
no way,
and why are you speaking
like that,
the slang? And I'd be like,
what are you talking about? This is normal.
Like I'm just speaking how we all speak, like, and I'm dressing how we all dress. I didn't because that was all I knew. And so I started thinking to myself, because it was the point where I couldn't go into some offices in the Army, I was so scared because I'd be ridiculed for the way I spoke or the way I walked. And so I thought to myself, I need to start changing this. And it's the regiment I served in, the Household Cavalry, which is based in London, and their role is to escort Her Majesty the Queen.
Yeah, that's Queen's Guard. I don't know if that's the term. Is that
we're part of the Queen's Guard.
Yeah.
And so the hierarchy is very well spoken.
Yes.
And the etiquette is a big thing, and personal turnout is massive.
Yeah.
And so
you guys have to ride the horses and You're in. Is it red uniform?
Red and blue.
That's like
There's two different colours.
No.
Okay.
That's the other. That's outside the palace. Are you talking about the guys with the?
No, but so they wear the same.
So we wear helmets, but with red and white plumes.
Yeah.
So the colours differ, but
But that's the red and blue uniform.
yeah.
The upright, the big, massive horses.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's proper.
And so
like,
in the army,
uniform.
at that time, it was almost like fit in or
Or get you out. They'll
Or-
kick you out, basically.
disappear. Like, and they make your life hell. So you either fit the mold, or you were losing your weekends to go and do stupid jobs, usually at unsociable hours.
Okay.
So where did you do your training?
So I done 14 weeks in Basingbourne, which is out in Cambridge.
Okay.
And that was sort of a baptism of fire because
Is that where all the drills happen? All the
How did you find it, man? Did you fit? Was you fit?
So I'd never done exercise, and I remember again Gemma come to see me the morning I left for training, and I used to have pointy sideburns that come down to the side of and an earring like Simeon's wearing, and I had to. I mean, she helped me. She shaved my side because your sideburns had to be high.
Okay, yeah.
I had to take the earring out.
Yeah,
It's almost like dethroning the person that I was and
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying, right, I'm gonna immerse myself.
Yeah.
But in the training, I was just super quiet. But this is where what I learnt from my mum, sort of cleaning the house, changing the bed, ironing clothes, sort of helped me because although I lacked the personality and the personal skills of the other recruits, I sort of
You had that above them.
I was able to iron in a way that no one was, and I was able to fold clothes and make my bed in a way that no one was, and so I excelled on one hand, but then struggled because they'd say that my communication skills were bad, and then I went to do a 14-week riding course in Windsor where I had to learn to ride a horse.
Yeah.
Which was mad because I'd never touched. There's no horses in Stonebridge, in Northwest London.
And they got Brixton though. They got the Brixton horses now. You know,
What's
they got horses in Brixton. They got a stable in Brixton. So big them up. They're doing some mad work there, like
Was
bringing
that
the kids
like
in.
an animal therapy kind of thing? Or?
No, it's like a mobile stable that comes every so often. I don't know the ins and outs, but I know I've seen like they've got a female champion.
Okay.
Like she's actually a champion, winning races and that, and she actually trains at that stable.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's
It's
cool,
crazy.
That
So
is cool.
that is something that is needed, I think.
In the community, definitely.
Yeah, man. But yeah, sorry to cut you.
No,
off,
and
sorry.
then after that, I was posted to Knightsbridge Barracks.
Wait, we skipped. So
No,
you was
you
learning how to
That's
ride
ride
horses,
horses,
yeah?
yeah,
Yeah, which
How do
was
you feel when you go on a horse for
like,
the first? You get dashed off? What's going on?
that like absolute carnage. Like you'd be put in a ride with, I think there was maybe 15, 20 of us.
Yeah.
And they call it khaki ride, and I remember first going in, and you're given a horse, but you're not given a horse. You can be asked to ride different horses at varying times, but you look after every morning. So you'd be down the stables, I think, for 5:30.
Okay.
Muck the horses out.
Oh, 5:30.
AM.
But
Yeah,
the
5:30.
army was like, you wouldn't just muck the horses out. You'd have to bring all the bedding out into the middle of the stables,
Yeah.
and then box it all off so it was in a perfect heap.
Okay.
And I remember standing, all their horses are like 15 hands, and I remember standing next to the horse, looking up at it, thinking, like I was scared. Yeah, like
They're
One
big.
boot,
They're
bruh.
15 hands. That's
like
a big
taller
horse,
than
you know,
I,
bro.
and I'm 6'2" pretty much,
Yeah, you're
and they're
16.
taller than me. Their backs,
Mad.
and like they'd be
What
like,
kind of horse is this though, man?
they're all, I think they're cavalry. They're called cavalry blacks, and they're brought in from Dublin, trained.
Okay.
Okay.
And the majority of them are well behaved, but they know when they've got beginner riders on
Okay,
them.
yeah, they can sense it, innit, kind of.
And so we learnt to ride in an indoor school, and it would like you'd be walking around, and then all of a sudden a horse would just start galloping across, and it'd stop before the wall, and soldiers were like head on into walls, and horses bucking, and
Bruh.
like a daily occurrence.
That's mad.
And that just heightened the fear because you're like, I remember there's one boy called Dumbrell who was in our ride, and he was sort of Supermaned into the riding school wall, and I remember thinking, and we all thought he's dead. There's no way you can survive that.
Wow.
Like he's broken his neck without a doubt.
Wow.
Did they have padding on the wall? Just
No,
straight
What do you
to
mean?
wood,
brick?
like an indoor school,
That's mad.
and like you have to wear helmets, but.
But that's not going to do much.
And then, like, you were expected to just get up, brush yourself off, get back on your horse and carry on. because no one wanted to be back trooped.
Yeah.
So they asked, going to the wall, they asked make a sudden stop.
Yeah, just stop.
And so what you supposed to do? Stay on the arse.
There's nothing you can do. Like these horses would just start galloping and then just stop. They go from 0 to
remember you got
30 mile an hour.
You got canter and then you got gallop, bruv. That's that.
Yeah.
And just stop and
that's that guy 0 to 60 and then hitting the brakes at 60 kind of thing.
Like broken collarbones, all these injuries were super common.
That was regular. Okay, wow.
But then after 14 weeks, like you're efficient, you're able to ride on the horse, you're able to groom it and look after it.
Are you able to like control the horse effectively? You know.
Yeah, so they teach you to jump.
Okay.
They teach you to ride. They teach you to look after the brown kit that you use then. And then you have a big pass off, and then you go to Knightsbridge Barracks, that's where we were based, and that's where you do another 4-week ride, learning to ride in all of the kit with a sword in one hand and 2 reins in your other.
Wow! So with 2 reins, you're controlling the horse now, and then you got your one hand on your sword.
Yeah,
crazy.
2 reins, one, and 2 legs. Sort of you use your legs and your.
Because the legs is that how you like determine the speed, right?
Sort of to turn, because you can't really do anything other than stop the horse with your hands.
Okay.
And they're pretty. To be fair, they're pretty smart. They know what the horses sort of know what they're doing. But
So
if
I
they,
thought you can drive like this, it's got
No, it's not that.
well, if you've got 2 hands, you can.
Oh, okay.
But because you have one hand, you're holding a sword.
So is it like how is it from squeezing?
You just sort of squeeze.
Yeah.
like with one leg, like.
Well, no, your 2 legs you squeeze to kick them into a trot, and then squeeze again to kick them into a canter or a gallop. But that was like 4 weeks was hell, because aside from cleaning all of the horses' kit, you had to clean all of your kit, and so.
Did your uniform have the big boots? The
big knee boots.
Yeah.
And them alone can take 12 hours
to clean
from start to finish.
Yeah. You got to see your face in them, innit, kind of thing.
And then all of the horses' kit and your kit has to be polished. Like we'd be up at sort of 5 a.m. to go down the stables for 6 to go out and exercise the horses. Once you've then finished the yard, you finish in the yard at about midday.
Yeah.
Then you got to go and clean your upstairs kit, which is the kit you wear, all of the boots, all of the helmet, the shiny stuff, and then come down and clean all the horses' kit. We'd sometimes be 23-hour working days. Like literally, you get to the point where you'd finished your kit before inspection. You go back to your room, have a shave, get changed, and go back down to work.
Mad.
So from 14 weeks to a 4 weeks.
Then like the final segment of training is the 4 weeks, but then because we lived in Knightsbridge, it was like, and as we started to get quicker with the kit, we started taking advantage of Leicester Square and Soho, going out partying, and then
you're in Central basically.
Army boys go wild.
and seriously, because you think the army, we were paid, I think at the time we were earning about £1,700 a month.
Okay.
After tax. There was no rent to pay, there was no bills, there was no electric, there was no nothing.
Stacking.
Food was, I think, about £8 a day for 3 meals, cooked for you.
That's not bad.
And so it went from cleaning kit all night to then going out all night, coming back, shaving, going straight to, because in the army you were commended for coming in drunk and still being able to do your job.
Okay.
Wasn't it?
It's one of those like unspoken kind of things. It's just like.
And that's not the case now. They've sort of gone back on the whole alcohol policy, but then it was, if you could come to work drunk and do your job, everything's fine.
You do what you're doing, but make sure you come and do what you have to do, kind of thing.
So when we're talking like,
go on.
Yeah, when we're talking like late 90s or early 2000s.
No, it would have been late. It would have been 2008 or 9. I joined the army, so I was 24.
Okay.
So from Simeon went to prison when I was 18.
Okay.
Simeon?
Is that right?
No.
18?
You've always been like a year older than me, innit? Is it a year older than me?
How old are you?
For me, 36.
Yeah, so a year older.
Yeah, so I went to prison when I was 19.
So yeah, between 20 and 24.
Okay. That's cool.
And then after training, 25.
And then so what is it called when you actually like, they give you you're good to go. Stamp of approval, you're officially in the army now.
Well, you're in the army, but
I mean, like, you're in the regiment now, like.
Yeah, so you have a pass out parade and that's it. Then you just go straight into what is called the ceremonial season, which is all of the escorts are trooping the colour, state opening of Parliament. And that was like...
Have you done them yourself?
So I remember like trotting down the Mall behind the Queen's carriage, like the Mall lined with thousands of people, a band playing, Union Jack, Summer's Day.
Yeah.
Like, and that was probably the first time I was like, I felt pride like I'd never felt it before. The hairs on the back of my neck standing up. And it wasn't like I developed friends who were like family, because we didn't just live together, play together, we worked together, and all under one roof.